Good afternoon, everyone. I am Keshav Singla, today's session moderator. Welcome you all, participant, our organizers, CA Dr. Raj Chawla, webinar speaker, Advocate CA Amarveer Singh Walia, to today's webinar, Recent Development under the Black Money Act. Key highlights of today's webinar are recent amendments and regulatory updates under the Black Money, Undisclosed Foreign Income and Assets and Imposition of Tax Act 2015. Section 43 Penal Provisions, Scope and Implications. At first, I would like to thank our webinar organizers here, Dr. Raj Chawla, to provide such an amazing platform where we get knowledge across different disciplinaries. I would like to request our organizers here, Dr. Raj Chawla sir, to give opening remark to start our webinar.
Thank you, Keshav. Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, I welcome all of you for joining our this webinar on recent development under the Black Money Act. And you will be happy to know that today we have very young and dynamic speaker, Advocate CA Amarveer Singh Ji Walia from Chandigarh as well as from Jalandhar. So he's attending this ITAT and other appellate tribunals regarding this Black Money Act. So my best wishes to him and his team. And once again, I welcome all of you. And my humble request to all of you that if you have any query, then you can ask directly to our speaker during his deliberation by raising your hand, or if you want, you can write your query in our Q&A, and after his deliberation, we will take up each and every query of all of you. Also, I have requested our guest speaker to please share his PPT with all our members, and he has agreed to that. So after this session, we will share our video recording as well as PPT of our speaker with all of you. So with this, happy learning. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Now it's my pleasure to introduce our esteemed speaker, CA Dr. Amarveer Singh Walia. He brings with over 7 years of professional experience, having worked across different MNCs. He deeply committed to student mentorship by conducting numerous seminars and webinars. He is also actively associated with the social welfare by engaging activities related to women empowerment, poverty alleviation, environment conservation. Thank you, sir, for having here. Uh, you can sir, start the session, sir.
Thank you so much, Keshav, for such a nice introduction. Before beginning, I would like to thanks a heartfelt thanks to CA Dr. Raj Chawla sir for providing this platform, for creating this initiative, which has helped many young speakers and also the audience. Uh, in the world of globalization, we see that today we can connect through webinars and there is no need of physical presence. And by this uh, and by this initiative of regular webinars, I think it is useful for the members also and for young speakers also. So thank you so much, sir. With this, I would like to start my session and I will share my screen. I would request all of you that we will keep it an interactive session. So in case you have any queries, my core focus will be on discussion of the case laws. So when we discuss case laws, it is better to ask the query at that moment only, because once it is discussed, it becomes difficult to again go to the facts of the case. Uh, Anyways, if anybody has any queries at the end of the session, also we can take up at end also, but try to keep it interactive as much as possible. Keshav, is my screen visible?
जी सर प्रोसेस हो रही है अभी जी सर विजिबल योर स्क्रीन आ गई
Okay, just Okay. Uh, just a minute, Keshav. I'm reopening the PPT. Okay. Is it visible, Keshav?
Yes, sir. Your screen is visible.
Okay. Okay. Uh, So, a very good evening to all. Today's topic is of Black Money and Black Money Act 2015. This is a very recent act, and there is a lot of discussion going on around this act. Our prime focus, as it was given in the introduction, will be on the basics. First of all, I will brush through the basics of black money, the important definitions that we need to understand, the scope of the act. Thereafter, we will deal with section 43, that is about failure to disclose the assets in the return of income. Recently, we have seen that many emails have come to the assessees. Your clients must have also received the emails with respect to disclosure to be made in the ITR. In case where the assessee holds any foreign assets, so we will deal with those cases and the judicial precedents that various ITATs and high courts have already, where high courts have dealt with the provision of section 43, and what the assessees and we as practicing professionals need to keep in mind while filing the ITRs and while analyzing those provisions. So starting it with, first of all, what is the objective or what was the intent to introduce this act? I have taken this paragraph from the memorandum when this act was introduced. It states, an act to make provisions to deal with the problem of black money, that is undisclosed foreign income and assets, the procedure for dealing with such income and assets, and to provide for imposition of tax on any undisclosed foreign income and asset held outside India and for matters connected therewith or incidental thereto. So the intention was very clear, to bring undisclosed foreign income and assets into the purview of taxation. So now we move to the next slide, which is about the definitions. The definitions are provided under section 2 of the act. As per section 2, assessee, for the definition of assessee, there are two categories, category A, category B, or we say clause A, clause B. Clause A states that assessee means a person being a resident in India within the meaning of section 6 of Income Tax Act. So very simple.
हम कौन सा सुन रहे हो
Resident of India is covered within the definition of
रिकॉर्डिंग आ
category
रही
B
नहीं मैं
states,
तो ब्लैक मनी का यार 200 रुपये पेड़ है
नहीं मैं तो वो है ऑनलाइन वाला वो वेबिनार
I would
कौन सा
request to kindly
आप जो
move.
है
जी सर, मैं कर रहा हूँ.
हाँ. Shall we carry on, Keshav?
Yes, sir. We can carry.
Okay. Clause B. Clause B is being a non-resident or not ordinary resident in India within the meaning of Clause 6 of Section 6 of Income Tax Act in the previous year, who was resident in India either in the previous year to which the income referred to in Section 4 relates, or in the previous year in which undisclosed asset located outside India was acquired. I will explain it in simple terms. Any person who is resident in India or a not ordinary resident in the year in which the undisclosed income is earned or undisclosed asset is acquired, Black Money Act is applicable to such person. It does not matter if in the year of detection you are a non-resident, then also this act will apply. What matters is the year of acquisition, when you have acquired that undisclosed asset or the undisclosed income. To bring more clarity into this, I have prepared a small illustration. We will go through this illustration and it will help you understand it better. I have prepared 4 columns. The second column states residential status in the year of detection. So year of detection is when the notice comes to you. Uh, when the black money notice is issued, we will discuss it later. But at present, we'll just keep in mind the years in which the residential status is to be checked in the year of detection. The next column is the residential status in which the foreign income was earned or asset was acquired.
बोल ना पाऊँ मैं सब
Okay. So in the first scenario, say for example, it is AY 2627 and the assessee is a resident in the year of detection. In the year of acquisition also, or in which the income was earned, assessee was a resident. So assessee will fall into clause A of the definition which we discussed, simply being resident in both the years. So Black Money Act will apply. Next, scenario 2, assessee is non-resident in the year of detection. However, the assessee is resident in the year when income was earned. So this is a simple formula you have to keep in mind. Once the assessee is resident, in case when the income was earned, then it does not matter even if he is non-resident in the year of detection. The assessee will fall into clause B and Black Money Act will apply. Moving on to serial number 3, the assessee was NOR, that is not ordinary resident in the year of detection. However, foreign income was earned when assessee was resident. Same, you were resident when foreign income was earned. It does not matter, your status will not matter in year of detection. Therefore, you are covered under clause B and Black Money Act will apply. Scenario 4, you are non-resident in both the cases. Very simple situation, Black Money Act will not apply. Then we move to scenario number 5, that is you were non-resident in previous year 25-26 and foreign income was also earned when you were non-resident. So you are outside the scope of clause A and clause B both. So Black Money Act will not apply. Any queries with respect to the status when the Black Money Act will apply, or we shall move forward? Anybody? Okay, so I think we can move forward. Okay, now we come to the definition of undisclosed asset located outside India. It is defined under section 2 subsection 11 of the Black Money Act, which states undisclosed asset located outside India means an asset located outside India held by the assessee in his name or in respect of which he is a beneficial owner and he has no explanation about the source of investment in such asset, or the explanation given by him is in the opinion of the assessing officer unsatisfactory. So to understand this definition, I have breaked it down into 4 necessary ingredients which are to be followed for application or to consider or to characterize any asset as undisclosed asset. The 4 important ingredients are: number 1, the asset is located outside India. For example, you are an Indian resident, you have foreign bank account in say USA. So that is located outside India. Number 2, it is held in the name of the assessee or beneficially owned by him. So one category is that it is in your name. So say for example, you have purchased a property in UK. So that is in your name. So it is an asset which is outside India and in your name. However, you can also be a beneficial owner of the asset. Now, what does beneficial owner mean? We all understand this term. You are not the owner directly. However, you are the owner as a beneficiary. से फॉर एग्जाम्पल आपकी प्रॉपर्टी है बाहर, उसकी पेमेंट भी आप ही ने की है लेकिन वो आपके भाई के नाम पे है, ठीक है, सारी जो पेमेंट हो रही है वो आपके नाम से जा रही है. योर ब्रदर इज जस्ट अ फेस टू दैट. सो इन दैट केस यू विल बी कंसिडर्ड टू बी अ बेनिफिशियल ओनर. आपका बैंक अकाउंट है वहां पे जो चाहे आपके भाई के नाम पे है लेकिन उसमें सारी ट्रांजेक्शन्स आप कर रहे हो. सो इन दैट केस यू आर द अल्टीमेट ओनर ऑफ दैट मनी. ऐसा नहीं हो सकता है कि आपके ब्रदर को वो चार्ज करेंगे. दे विल सी द इंटेंट. In the Benami law also, they see the intent, who is the person who is ultimately getting the benefit. That person is the beneficial owner. The third ingredient is no explanation of source of investment. I will read 3 and 4 together. Fourth is explanation given is found unsatisfactory by the AO. This is very important. अगर आप अपने इन्वेस्टमेंट को एक्सप्लेन कर पा रहे हैं, दैट इज देयर इज अ वैलिड रीजनिंग how you have made the investment. For example, in our case, आपने यूएस में कोई प्रॉपर्टी खरीदी, However, the funds have been transmitted from India via legal routes following the provisions of FEMA. आपका बैंक ने ही remittance की थी, so that means your source of investment is proved. The assessing officer cannot allege that investment is unexplained. We read this concept in income tax that of unexplained investment, unexplained cash credit, etc. Black money and income tax law are very much related to each other. Even the tax authorities in income tax are the same in the black money. Okay, so coming back. So in case your investment is explained, then the third ingredient is not satisfied and your asset will come out of the definition of an undisclosed asset. On the contrary, your explanation that you have given, the AO might not find it satisfactory and the AO might allege that I do not agree to it and I have to initiate your proceedings further. That might also be the scenario, but we will see in the judgments that we will discuss that once the source of investment is proved or SSC is able to establish the trail of money, then the courts have taken a liberal view and they have not categorized such as an asset as undisclosed. Next slide is with related to the key examples. Foreign bank account where you have direct ownership, that might be your undisclosed asset. Foreign shares, mutual funds, foreign immovable property, you have a home outside India, you are a beneficiary of a foreign trust, you can also be a signatory in bank account, crypto wallet hosted on a foreign exchange. All these are examples of undisclosed assets if not declared in return of income. So what is the key takeaway? So this is the views of the author. It is not mere foreign ownership, but the failure to satisfactorily explain the source of investment that converts a foreign asset into an undisclosed asset under the Black Money Act. So already I have discussed this. Your source of investment, if it is explained, it cannot be categorized as undisclosed asset. This is very important with respect to practical scenarios that we professionals deal in everyday life. Next is section 2, subsection 12, that is the definition of undisclosed foreign income and asset. It means the total amount of undisclosed income of an assessee from a source located outside India and value of undisclosed asset located outside India referred to in section 4 and computed in the manner laid down in section 5. I will keep it simple. कोई भी ऐसी इनकम जो आपको फॉरेन से हो रही है, दैट इज फ्रॉम अ सोर्स लोकेटेड आउटसाइड इंडिया, या कोई भी ऐसा एसेट जो आपका फॉरेन में लोकेटेड है, उसकी जो वैल्यू है इनकम के लिए, यू हैव अ स्पेसिफिक रेफरेंस. फॉर एग्जांपल, यू आर अर्निंग डिविडेंड फ्रॉम अ फॉरेन कंपनी, से फॉर एग्जांपल ऑफ 100 यूएसडी डॉलर्स, तो यू नो कि 100 यूएसडी डॉलर की वो इनकम है. देयर इज नो नीड टू अगेन वैल्यू दैट अमाउंट. However, for an immovable property, आपकी immovable property अगर इनकम टैक्स डिपार्टमेंट या अथॉरिटीज अंडर दी ब्लैक मनी है वो डिटेक्ट करती हैं, यू नीड टू वैल्यू दैट एसेट. आपको उसकी वैल्यूएशन करवानी पड़ती है. जो रूल्स ऑफ वैल्यूएशन है वो सेक्शन 5 रेड विद रूल 3 में दिए गए हैं, एंड द चार्ज, जो चार्जिंग सेक्शन है वो आपका सेक्शन 3 है, एंड टैक्सेशन इज अंडर सेक्शन 4. नेक्स्ट वी मूव ऑन टू द एग्जांपल्स with respect to section 2 subsection 12, that is undisclosed foreign income and asset. Example 1, an assessee maintains a bank account in Switzerland and earns interest income. The interest is neither reported in the return nor offered to tax in India. This is your undisclosed foreign income. Next, an assessee being resident in India earns salary from a UK based employer for services rendered abroad. The salary is not disclosed in return of income filed in India. Again, this is your undisclosed foreign income, and there is no need to value this because the value is specific. Next is example number 3. An assessee operates an overseas consultancy business in Singapore and earns professional fees. The income is not disclosed in India and no explanation is offered. Again, any consultancy fees, the value is already determined and there is no need of valuation. However, in cases if there is an undisclosed asset, say an immovable property, then the rules of valuation will come into play. Next is basis of charge, section 3. As per section 3, there shall be charged on every assessee for every assessment year commencing on or after 1st of April 2016, that is when the act came into the picture, a tax in respect of his total undisclosed foreign income and asset at the rate of 30%. So the rate of taxation as prescribed under section 3 is 30%. This is the charging section. Then the next proviso is very important. provided that an undisclosed asset located outside India shall be charged to tax on its value in the previous year in which such assets come to the notice of assessing officer. I have given an example to understand this. This is very important in black money. आप लोगों को लगता है कि यार हमने फॉर एग्जांपल फाइनेंशियल ईयर 16-17 में ट्रांजैक्शन की, आज हम पहुंच गए हैं असेसमेंट ईयर या फाइनेंशियल ईयर 24, 25, 25, 26 में, आपको लगता है तो 7-8 ईयर्स हो चुके हैं, अब मैंने ट्रांजैक्शन तब की थी, मेरे को कोई इनकम आई थी या मेरा कोई एसेट उस साल में मैंने बनाया था, तो नाउ आई कैन नॉट बी चार्ज फॉर दैट ट्रांजैक्शन. इट इज इनकरेक्ट. ब्लैक मनी हैज a very stringent provision which says that your undisclosed asset or income will be charged to tax in the year in which it comes to the notice of assessing officer. अगर आपने प्रॉपर्टी पिछले सालों में भी खरीदी है और आज ऑफिसर को पता लग रहा है कि मैंने ये कि इनकी ये अनडिस्क्लोज एसेट है, then the officer can charge you in this year itself. For example, I have given an example. An immovable property located outside India was purchased by assessee in AY 1617 but was not disclosed in return of income. Subsequently, in AY 1920, the AO comes to know the existence of such undisclosed foreign immovable property. The Black Money Act provisions will be invoked in AY 1920. Next are the valuation rules. As I discussed earlier, there will be instances in the case of jewelry, shares, immovable property, when you will need the rules of valuation. So for this purpose, there is rule 3 in the black money rules. I have summarized these rules. However, this in itself is a full-fledged topic. I will just read one. For example, in case of jewelry, the method to determine the fair market value is higher of cost of acquisition or open market price or valuation report as on valuation date. तो आप उसकी valuation लगवा सकते हैं ऑफिसर, या जो cost of acquisition है whichever is higher that will be considered as the undisclosed value. I am not getting into the details of all this. I will share the PPT because this is a full-fledged topic and we need one full-fledged lecture on this क्योंकि rules of computation बहुत different है. However, our primary focus is on penalty provisions under section 43. This was just to give a background, so I am moving forward. Next is section 4, which talks about the scope of total undisclosed foreign income and asset. There are 3 subclauses to this. The scope of total undisclosed foreign income means what income can be considered and what will come in, on what income you can be charged tax as per section 3, that is at the rate of 30%. Clause A states income from a source located outside India which has not been disclosed in return of income. Your return under section 139(1) or 4 or 5, that is original, revised, belated ITR, all of these are covered. Then is clause B, which states that income from a source located outside India in respect of which a return is required to be furnished but no return has been furnished. Same provision, either you have not disclosed in return of income where return was required to be furnished, or you have furnished the return but not disclosed the details. All these incomes will be in the scope of total undisclosed foreign income. Clause 3 is the value of an undisclosed asset. Valuation rules are given in rule 3. The value that will be determined as per those rules will be chargeable to tax under section 4. Next is a very important subsection, that is subsection 3 to section 4, which states the income included in the total undisclosed foreign income and asset under this act shall not form part of total income under the Income Tax Act. ऐसा बहुत बार होता है कि हम ब्लैक मनी एक्ट में कोई चीज डिस्क्लोज करते हैं या उसके ऊपर ऑलरेडी टैक्स पे कर देते हैं. इनकम टैक्स अथॉरिटीज वही वाली इंफॉर्मेशन को पिक करते हैं एंड दे स्टार्ट योर प्रोसीडिंग्स स्टेटिंग that income tax proceedings are different from Black Money Act proceedings and we are going to charge you tax here also. This is not allowed. The legislature has inserted subsection 3 to this effect in section 4, specifically excluding such incomes which have already been charged to tax under the Black Money Act. There is a Latin principle also to this which states that income tax under the Black Money Act is excluded from total income under the Income Tax Act, and it is to prevent double taxation. An example to this could be an assessee being resident in India earned foreign interest income from a Swiss bank during the previous year 23-24. The income was not disclosed in ITR. proceedings were initiated and interest income was taxed under Section 4. Such interest income shall not be included again in the total income computed under the Income Tax Act. Okay, so now we come to the practical portion. We have discussed Section 3, Section 4, that is the charging section, and what all will be covered under the scope of undisclosed foreign income and asset. We have covered the definitions and the intent of Black Money Act. Now we move to the important and the purpose for which this lecture mainly covers. This is the emails from the Income Tax Department. We all practicing professionals or even in our friend circles, we might have noticed during the month of December 2025, such emails were sent. I have just attached a screenshot, an extract of screenshot for the reference of people who have not seen such emails. These emails came to many assessees. Some of them were having foreign assets or income. Some of them were not even having foreign assets. Some were having such foreign assets or income in previous years when they sometimes went to the foreign. So that email stated that data has been shared by foreign jurisdiction. Data is shared with respect to the information exchange agreement that India has with the foreign countries. So under those exchange information agreements, the data is sent to the Income Tax Department. It shows that you have held or earned foreign assets or income. However, Schedule FA is not included in your ITR. Please revise your ITR by 31st December. Please include any such income. And then steps were given. मेरे एक दोस्त का मुझे कॉल आया, वो LLM करने गया था बाहर फॉरेन, ठीक है. उसने बिकॉज वो वहां पे रह रहा था फॉर लाइक 2-3 years, ठीक है, ही स्टेड देयर, तो उसने अपना बैंक अकाउंट वहां ओपन किया था लंदन में. सो नाउ इट्स बीन लाइक मोर देन 6 years व्हेन ही इज इन इंडिया. उसको भी ये मेल आया, तो ही कॉल्ड मी एंड ही आस्क्ड, अमर की ये ना मेल आ रहा है बट मेरा तो कोई फॉरेन एसेट नहीं है, कोई बैंक अकाउंट कुछ भी नहीं है मेरे पास, व्हाई आर दे सेंडिंग मी दीज ईमेल्स? बिकॉज द पेनल्टी प्रोविजंस आर वेरी स्ट्रिक्ट. You can come under the purview of rupees 10 lakh in case of non-disclosures. So I asked him, please try to remember कि तूने कुछ फॉरेन में परचेज किया हो, कभी कुछ हुआ हो. तो बातों बातों में बताया कि यार मैं LLM करने गया था. So I asked him, if you went there, you must have opened a bank account. He said, yes, I opened a bank account because I was living there for 2 years. I said, that is why you have received the email. Your bank account must not have been closed. He said, yes. When I came back to India, I did not close my bank account. I have some balance in my bank account. So then I told him that you should report this to make sure that no further proceedings are initiated in your case. These emails were not with respect to initiation of proceedings, but these were just a gentle reminder to the assessees that in case you have any assets or income, please disclose them. तो ऐसे बहुत सारे केसेस होंगे आपके आसपास भी. लोग घूमने जाते हैं, लोग पढ़ने जाते हैं, कभी बैंक अकाउंट खुलवा लिया वहां पर, उन्होंने वो बैंक अकाउंट नहीं क्लोज किया. ये बहुत कॉमन एग्जांपल है. अकाउंट चाहे डोरमेंट हो गया हो आज की डेट में, बट उसके अंदर बैलेंसेस पड़े हुए हैं लोगों के. अब कितने बैलेंस के प्रोविजंस क्या है? देयर इज अ प्रोविजन इन सेक्शन 43 नाउ व्हिच स्टेट्स दैट इफ यू हैव बैलेंस टिल 20 lakh in INR, then no penalty will be levied. So we will discuss those provisions later. But even if you have a bank account, ठीक है, जो आपने कभी खुलवाया था आपके फ्रेंड्स ने कुछ ने, you should ensure कि proper disclosure has already been made. Now we come to the main topic of today, that is section 43. There is a lot of buzz around this section, which states penalty for failure to furnish in return of income information or furnish inaccurate particulars about an asset, including financial interest in any entity located outside India. You had to furnish return of income, but you have failed to furnish Schedule FA, that is the foreign asset schedule. So then penalty under section 43 can be levied. What does it state? If any person being a resident other than NOR in India within the meaning of section 6 subsection 6 who has furnished the return of income under section 139 subsection 1 or 4 or 5 fails to furnish any information or furnishes inaccurate particulars relating to any asset including financial interest in any entity located outside India held by him as a beneficial owner or otherwise, we have already discussed this, you can also be a beneficial owner, or in respect of which he was a beneficiary, or relating to any income from a source located outside India at any time during such previous year, the assessing officer may direct that such person shall pay by a penalty a sum of rupees 10 lakh. So, in case you have furnished your return of income, this section applies when you have furnished return of income. However, there is misreporting, or we can say that inaccurate particulars have been furnished in the return only with respect to Schedule FA. Black Money Act is only concerned with Schedule FA. अगर आपने रिटर्न भरी ही नहीं, उसके लिए सेक्शन 42 होता है, उसमें सेपरेट पेनल्टी है 10 लाख की. सेक्शन 42 कहता है कि आपने रिटर्न भरी ही नहीं, तो इनएक्यूरेट पर्टिकुलर्स तो बाद में आएंगे ना, पहले तो आपको रिटर्न भरनी है. तो उसके लिए देयर इज अ सेपरेट प्रोविजन, दैट इज सेक्शन 42. सेक्शन 43 इज व्हेन यू हैव फर्निश्ड रिटर्न ऑफ इनकम, आइदर इट इज ओरिजिनल और इट इज बिलेटेड or it is revised. However, the particulars in Schedule FA are inaccurate. Then this section is invoked. Okay. So proviso, and there was a recent amendment, we will discuss this. The proviso to this section states that this section shall not apply in respect of an asset or assets other than immutable property where the aggregate value of such asset or assets does not exceed 20 lakh rupees. मैंने अभी आपको एग्जांपल दिया था आपके बैंक अकाउंट का. अगर बैंक अकाउंट में 20 लाख से कम बैलेंस है INR में, तो we can take reference to this proviso. If you have not furnished in Schedule FA, this can be an escape route for the assessees if proceedings are initiated, that as per the proviso, penalty provisions under section 43 cannot be invoked because my balance is less than 20 lakh. At present, there is no litigation to this effect because this has been recently inserted with effect from 1st of October 2024. And I believe in the upcoming year, when notices will be issued and proceedings will be initiated, this proviso will come into effect. Department will issue notices, और क्योंकि amendment आ चुकी है, there is a tendency that department issue notices कि नहीं, this is a proviso, but that is a separate issue, we will assess you. So I think we are going to hear a lot of judgments on this aspect also, that this amendment applies to even if your assets are of years before this amendment, but since the proceedings are initiated in the year in which the AO comes, the foreign income or asset comes to the knowledge of the AO, therefore that now it is going to be from the year 2006 onwards. So this proviso will be applicable. What was the earlier proviso? At present, the limit is 20 lakh rupees. Earlier, it used to be 5 lakh rupees only before 1st of October 2024. So now, simply speaking, 5 lakh limit has been increased to 20 lakh Indian rupees. Okay. Value determination. How are you going to value in rupee the balance or the value of the asset? How are you going to determine it? It is going to be determined as per the explanation to section 42. Since we were not discussing section 42, I have just extracted the relevant portion which states that for determining the value equivalent in rupees of balance in account maintained in foreign currency, the rate of exchange for calculation of value in rupee shall be TTBR of such currency as on date for which value is to be determined as adopted by SBI under SBI Act 1955. तो आपको जो कन्वर्जन रेट है वो कब किसका देखना है? एज पर दी SBI एक्ट. जो SBI की वेबसाइट पर जाकर आपको ये रेट मिलता है, ठीक है. व्हेन यू विल लॉग इनटू द वेबसाइट, वहां पे फॉरेन एक्सचेंज रेट का होता है. एवरी डे दे पोस्ट अ PDF जहां पे वो रेट डिटरमाइन करते हैं. सो फॉर एवरी डे वी अंडरस्टैंड दिस कॉन्सेप्ट दैट एवरी डे देयर इज गोइंग टू बी अ डिफरेंट रेट. फॉरेन करेंसी का जो INR में कन्वर्जन रेट है, इट इज नॉट स्टेगनेंट, इट फ्लक्चुएट्स एवरी डे. सो SBI अपने वेबसाइट पे they keep updating that. मैंने for ease of reference and to give a brief overview, I have taken screenshot on this is of 14th of January only कि SBI के जो फॉरेक्स कार्ड के रेट्स थे. सो आप देख सकते हैं कि US में, दिरहम्स में, ऑस्ट्रेलियन डॉलर में, और हमने TTBR रेट लेना, दैट इज से फॉर एग्जांपल फॉर US डॉलर इट इज 89.75. तो आपको ये रेट लगाकर कन्वर्ट करना अपना बैलेंस टू चेक कि आपका अमाउंट कितना बनता है. and to also check if it is less than 20 lakh for your assets other than the immovable property. So this is the type of PDF that you can get from SBI website. Okay, so now we move to the judicial precedents that are the recent landmark decisions on foreign asset disclosure requirements and penalty provisions under the Black Money Act. All these judgments I have taken from a taxman, and and at present there are not much but like 10 to 12 judgments with respect to section 43. I have incorporated all of them. आज जब हम लेक्चर देख रहे हैं तो सेक्शन 43 की जितनी जजमेंट्स हैं, जो भी कॉन्सेप्चुअल हैं, जजमेंट्स में जो कॉन्सेप्ट है या जो पासिंग रेफरेंसेस दिए गए हैं, आई विल कवर ऑल ऑफ देम. So this repository is like full. Also to mention, there were judgments which were repetitive. So say for example, ITAT Bombay has said something, ITAT has Delhi simply followed the same. So I have just covered one of those two judgments to ensure that we are able to cover the catch the aspect and the interpretation of law. Anybody has any doubt till now or want to discuss something? Then we move on to the case laws.
I have a query.
Yes, sir.
One of resident Indian is having a account along with his daughter, who is
Okay.
NRI, and he is
Okay.
a second, not a primary holder. Her daughter is a primary holder, and
Okay.
though he is also a signing authority in that bank account.
Okay.
Whether that will be a foreign asset for Indian resident?
Perfect, sir. So, sir, there are 2-3 judgments also to this same query. If so, what the ITATs have held, they have said that it is the duty of the primary holder to report that asset in the Schedule FA. So, if her daughter is the primary holder, then in the ITR of daughter, you have to make the disclosure. And if she is a secondary holder, say for administrative purpose or for signing purposes only, then penalty cannot be invoked on her. But the important criteria is the daughter has disclosed it. It cannot be per se that both of them have not disclosed it.
But she is NRI.
Daughter.
Yes.
Okay. So your daughter is an NRI, so the provisions will not be.
फादर को सिर्फ एक सेकेंडरी सिग्नेटरी बनाया हुआ है because she is unmarried till now. He resides in Canada. She is a PR holder of Canada also.
Okay.
उनको भी अभी नोटिस आया था. सेम नोटिस नहीं, सारी सेम मेल आई थी.
तो सर आपने क्या किया फिर? आपने डिस्क्लोज किया या नहीं किया अभी?
अभी हमने तो कर दिया था फॉर द सेफर साइड. हम फ्रैंकली टेलिंग यू.
करेक्ट सर. I was about to say that.
As a signatory हमने किया, not as a beneficiary.
करेक्ट. So आपने सिग्नेटरी में ये आपने बिल्कुल ठीक किया है कि टू टेक अ कंजर्वेटिव व्यू, उसको एज अ सिग्नेटरी आपको डिस्क्लोज कर दिया आपने, बिल्कुल ठीक किया. बट इवन अदरवाइज आपके केस में जैसे एनआरआई है, अगर वो रेजिडेंट होती डॉटर, तो उसके फादर या मदर जो सेकेंडरी या एडमिनिस्ट्रेटिव पर्पस के लिए उनको डिस्क्लोज करने की रिक्वायरमेंट नहीं है.
ओके, तो आप अभी जो जजमेंट है तो चलो मैं एक बार देख लूंगा. और एक क्वेश्चन और था सर, अभी आपने कहा कि इफ एनी सैलरी अर्न आउट ऑफ इंडिया, एनी रेजिडेंट,
देयर इज
एनी सैलरी अर्न आउट ऑफ इंडिया, दैट विल आल्सो बिकम अ फॉरेन इनकम, फॉरेन इनकम इन इंडिया. बट सैलरी नॉर्मली टैक्सेबल इन द कंट्री वेयर इट इज अर्न. तो वो इंडिया में इसको फॉरेन इनकम कैसे, मतलब
बताता हूँ सर. से फॉर एग्जांपल सर, ये कोविड में बहुत हुआ था एम्प्लॉइज के साथ. जो एमएनसीज के एम्प्लॉइज थे ना, से फॉर एग्जांपल कोई न्यूजीलैंड में कंपनी में काम कर रहा था, ही केम टू इंडिया, कोविड आ गया, वो इंडिया में ही रहा. ठीक है, वो इंडिया से वर्क फ्रॉम होम कर रहा था और जो इनकम थी उसको उसके न्यूजीलैंड के बैंक अकाउंट में मिल रही थी. ठीक है, इंडिया में उसने आईटीआर नहीं फाइल की, इंडिया में आईटीआर में इनकम रिपोर्ट नहीं की, तो वो इनकम उसकी अनडिस्क्लोज फॉरेन इनकम बनेगी.
ओके. Clarified, sir. Thank you.
Okay, sir.
Okay. सर एक क्वेश्चन है सर.
Yes, please.
आवाज आ रही है सर?
आ रही है सर.
एक ये क्वेश्चन है, मेरे एक फ्रेंड हैं, वो कतर में जॉब करते हैं. ओके. और उनका स्टेटस वैसे तो नॉन रेसिडेंट का ही रहता है, बट वो नॉलेज नहीं थी तो रिटर्न खुद ही फाइल करते थे, तो उन्होंने अपनी रिटर्न रेजिडेंट स्टेटस में फाइल कर दी उस साल के लिए. और ऐसे ही कुछ भी XYZ उन्होंने इनकम दिखा करके रिटर्न को फाइल कर दिया। तो उनको यही नोटिस आ गया जो आप अभी रिफ्लेक्ट कर रहे थे स्क्रीन के ऊपर। तो उस नोटिस के बाद में जब मेरे से उनसे बात हुई तो मैंने चेक किया तो पता लगा कि रिटर्न ही गलत फाइल्ड है उनकी। तो सब्सिक्वेंटली मैंने उनकी रिटर्न को रिवाइज कर दिया और स्टेटस को भी ठीक कर दिया, स्टेटस को फ्रॉम रेजिडेंट टू नॉन रेजिडेंट कर दिया। और नॉन रेजिडेंट में शेड्यूल फॉरेन एसेट अप्लाई करता नहीं है। तो
करेक्ट।
ये करेक्ट किया सर, इसमें कुछ गलती तो नहीं रहेगी या कुछ आगे फर्दर कुछ और प्रॉब्लम तो नहीं आ सकती?
नहीं सर, बिल्कुल ठीक किया। इवन मेरे पास भी एक क्लाइंट आया, वन ऑफ माय क्लाइंट्स आल्सो, ही हैड डन द सेम थिंग।
ओके।
नॉन रेजिडेंट था, इनकम बाहर की है, इंडिया की कोई टैक्सेबिलिटी के ऊपर राइट नहीं है,
जी
गलती से रिटर्न एज ए रेजिडेंट भर दी।
जी।
खुद से जब भर रहे होते हैं वो, थोड़ा सा कुछ लोग जो सैलरी वाले
हाँ
होते हैं वो खुद से भी रिटर्न फाइल करते हैं, नहीं प्रोविजंस को देखते ध्यान से। बट इफ यू हैव अमेंडेड एज अ नॉन रेजिडेंट, इट इज अ बोनाफाइड एरर। और अगर नोटिस आ भी गया, पेनल्टी प्रोविजंस विल नॉट इन्वोक। ठीक है,
नोट
कोई इशू नहीं आएगा उसमें। ये तो बोनाफाइड एरर है, इसमें कुछ है तो नहीं उसका। आप उसके पासपोर्ट से, उसके कंपनी के डॉक्यूमेंट से यू कैन एस्टेब्लिश दैट पर्सन इज अ नॉन रेजिडेंट इन द
हाँ, वो
ईयर
दैट वी कैन एस्टैब्लिश, दैट वी कैन एस्टैब्लिश सर।
बस।
उमर जी,
आई
एक
थिंक दैट
छोटा
वुड
सा और
सफाइस।
क्लैरिफिकेशन। हेलो।
यस सर।
हाँ सर, वो जो मैंने भी क्वेश्चन पूछा था कि एनआरआई डॉटर के साथ जॉइंट होल्डर हैं वो, हमने इस साल वाले में तो रिवाइज कर दी सर। तो डू यू सजेस्ट कि मेरे को पिछले 3 साल के अपडेटेड रिटर्न भर दूं 100-200 रुपए एडिशनल टैक्स दिखा के? ये डिस्क्लोज करना चाहिए या वी कैन फाइट ऑन इफ दे से कि, क्योंकि ये अकाउंट तो पुराना है सर इनका, मतलब
करेक्ट करेक्ट
डॉटर
करेक्ट करेक्ट। तो सर इसमें दो व्यूज हैं। ठीक है, जो अभी तक आईटीएटी या कोर्ट्स ने व्यू क्या लिया है कि अगर आप किसी भी साल में डिस्क्लोज नहीं करते हैं, तो सेक्शन 43 में क्या है, द वर्ड यूज्ड इज मे। ठीक है, एओ
यस
ने
सर,
फैक्ट और
यस।
सर्कमस्टांसेस के ऊपर पेनल्टी लगानी है। ऐसा नहीं है कि पेनल्टी लगानी ही लगानी है। तो
हाँ जी,
ट्राइब्यूनल्स
हाँ
ने
जी,
क्या चीज नोटिस की कि अगर एक ही साल में डिस्क्लोज कर दिया, ठीक है,
हाँ
से
जी।
फॉर एग्जांपल आपको अब आपको ईमेल आया, दैट वाज एन इंटीमेशन, इट वाज नॉट अ नोटिस, और आपने उसके ऊपर एक्ट अपॉन करके डिस्क्लोज कर दिया, सो दैट मींस यू वर विजिलेंट। अगर पिछले साल में रह भी गया तो इट इज कंसिडर्ड टू बी अ बोनाफाइड एरर।
ठीक है।
ठीक है, तो ट्राइब्यूनल्स और हाई कोर्ट ने बोला कोई बात नहीं, इस साल में कर दिया, उनको जब पता लगा कर दिया। ऐसा नहीं है कि वो कुछ छुपाना चाहते हैं, उनकी इंटेंशन ये नहीं
ठीक
है।
है।
लेकिन अगर आप किसी भी साल में
ठीक है।
मत करो, देन यू कैन नॉट टेक द बेनिफिट ऑफ दैट वर्ड में और दीज जजमेंट्स। ये भी हम डिस्कस करेंगे आगे, एक दो जजमेंट्स है, आपको उससे और क्लैरिटी मिलेगी।
ठीक है।
सेम केस।
थैंक यू।
शैल वी मूव फॉरवर्ड देन?
सर एक सर एक क्वेश्चन, एक बस एक क्लैरिफिकेशन लेनी है इसमें। जो सर जो प्रोवाइजो है सेक्शन 42 का, which exempts deposits up to 5 lakhs, is it only applicable for bank accounts?
It is applicable for any asset other than immovable property.
So if there is a financial asset, for example, I have done an investment in a foreign company, that is not a bank account, but the value might be lesser than 5 lakhs also. जैसे अभी तो लेटेस्ट में it has been revised to 20, तो बट अगर उससे कम है तो will that proviso apply to that case also?
I think so. If we see, it specifically states one or more bank accounts.
Yeah,
Okay, so prior proviso
because it reads that this section shall not apply in respect of an asset being one or more. Is the intention to exempt only if it is a bank account? That is,
correct,
it might be a saving account, it might be a commercial account, but that
correct.
means is it not exempting anything else? Even if it's a financial asset, not a real estate property, an investment made somewhere or something like that.
Sir, what I see is current proviso में bank account word specifically included नहीं है। ठीक है, so अगर हम current proviso को देखें, provided that this section shall not apply in respect of an asset or assets where the aggregate value of such asset does not exceed 20 lakh rupees. I've noted your query. This is an important observation जो मुझे अभी आपसे बात करके और पता लगा कि one or more bank accounts word is missing in this proviso. So
Yeah.
I will also note it down. You at the end of the PPT, my number would be shared. We can discuss it later. Okay.
Sure. Thank you.
Okay. Moving forward, so the first judgment is Vinil Venugopal versus DDIT. This is a special bench judgment of ITAT Mumbai. What is the significance of this judgment is that it is a special bench judgment. So more than 2 members were sitting when they have decided this issue. What was the question of law before ITAT? Whether there is a discretion with the AO to impose penalty depending upon facts and circumstances of each case, and therefore imposition of penalty is not mandatory, automatic upon failure to disclose foreign assets in Schedule FA. So they have interpreted the word may, and it is a very important and one of the landmark judgments at the present moment. So facts of the case were: the appellant failed to disclose in return of income foreign investments with a company in Cayman Island and did not report in Schedule FA. Penalty provision states that Section 43 will apply. 10 lakh penalty will be charged in case of failure to disclose the foreign investment in Schedule FA. Now, what was the source of investment? The investment was made out of tax paid income through banking channel under the liberalized remittance scheme of RBI. It was pointed out that the amount was transferred from the bank account of the assessees and as such cannot be said to be an undisclosed asset within meaning of section 4 read with 211 of ब्लैक मनी एक्ट. हमने ये डिस्कस किया था पहले कि अगर आपने जो इन्वेस्टमेंट की है, the money out of which you have made investment is traceable, you have paid tax on that money, then it is not undisclosed. Same scenario, source of investment was proved, source of investment was not undisclosed. Moving forward, it was submitted that the investment has been declared in the subsequent ITR for AY 21-22 and 22-23 much before the show cause notice was received. तो AY 2021 में उन्होंने डिक्लेयर नहीं की. दो चीजें होगी. एक तो सोर्स जो था इन्वेस्टमेंट का वो ट्रेसेबल था, प्रूव्ड था, प्रूवन था. सेकंड, AY 2021 में सिर्फ नॉन डिस्क्लोजर हुआ है, उसके आगे के सालों में डिस्क्लोजर हुआ था. 21-22, 23-23 में डिस्क्लोजर था. What were the arguments of the SSC? First argument was the asset in the present case cannot be said to be undisclosed. The use of word may in section 43 coupled with requirement of issuance of a show cause notice is indicative of the fact that in appropriate case where there is a bona fide oversight, mistake, inadvertence or if the breach is of venial nature, the AO can waive the imposition of penalty. Same cheese, the word may was interpreted to be held that there can be an inadvertent mistake on part of the assessee. Number second, the charging section of a fiscal or taxing statute has to be construed strictly, although a liberal construction can be placed on the machinery provisions for computation of tax liability. That is, a liberal view should be adopted in case of penal provisions. Income tax में भी हम ये चीज पढ़ते हैं. There are sections जहाँ पे दिया गया है कि when penalty should not be imposed in case there is a bona fide mistake or error. Next, argument number 3. The legislature has used the words may as well as shall, which indicates that so far as decision for imposition of penalty is concerned, there is a clear discretion vested in the AO depending on facts and circumstances of each case. ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. मे और शैल दोनों यूज किया है. मे यूज किया है फॉर द इम्पोजिशन ऑफ पेनल्टी, कि पेनल्टी लगा भी सकते हैं, नहीं भी लगा सकते हैं. शैल यूज किया है इफ पेनल्टी इज टू बी इम्पोज्ड देन इट हैज टू बी 10 लाख रुपीज. पेनल्टी की अमाउंट एओ नहीं कम कर सकता. एओ के पास पावर अमाउंट कम करने की नहीं है. अगर पेनल्टी लगेगी तो 10 लाख की लगेगी. However, पेनल्टी ना लगाना, it is at the discretion of the AO. Then, plain reading test. A plain reading of the section itself would indicate that the decision to impose penalty is discretionary and not mandatory or automatic. I think it is the same argument. Then, what were the observations of tribunal? Tribunal laid down a principle of interpretation which states it is a well-established principle of interpretation of statutes that the words must be given their plain and ordinary meaning unless it leads to absurd results or consequences which could never be intended. Applying this test, the use of word may would clearly indicate that it is discretionary in nature, the penalty provisions. It is significant to note that the concluding part of section 43 employs both may so far as imposition of penalty is concerned and shall as far as quantum is concerned. I have already explained this paragraph of the observation. Then what were the key findings? That there is a discretion with the AO to impose the penalty and it depends on facts and circumstances. The appeals shall now be placed before the division bench for disposal according to law. we make it clear that we have not examined the merits of the order imposing penalty, which is left to be decided by the division bench on its own merits and in accordance with law. इस केस में हुआ क्या था कि उन्होंने मे वर्ड को इंटरप्रेट नहीं किया और बोला पेनल्टी लगेगी ही लगेगी. दैट इज हाउ देयर वाज कंट्रास्टिंग व्यूज ऑफ द मेंबर्स. देन इट वेंट टू द स्पेशल बेंच. तो स्पेशल बेंच ने जजमेंट पास कर दिया कि may does not mean that penalty has to be automatically invoked. So this whole judgment is on the interpretation of the word may. Next is High Court of Bombay, PCIT versus Aditi Avinash Athwankar. The question of law before High Court was where assessee was only named in the investment holding made by her husband for administrative convenience, and her husband had declared said investment in Schedule FA along with his return of income, whether penalty can be imposed on assessee for non-disclosure in Schedule FA along with the return. So husband or wife थे. Husband was the primary holder and wife was the secondary holder, and she was just named for administrative convenience. तो वाइफ को नोटिस आ गए, वाइफ के अगेंस्ट पेनल्टी प्रोसीडिंग्स इनिशिएट हुई, पेनल्टी ऑर्डर पास हो गया. देन द मैटर रीच टू ट्रेवल टू हाई कोर्ट ऑफ बॉम्बे. व्हाट डिड द हाई कोर्ट स्टेट? द फैक्ट्स ऑफ द केस. फॉर AY 1718 द एलिगेशन वाज अगेंस्ट द assessee, the wife, for making non-disclosure of foreign investment. The record showed that her name appeared in investment for administrative convenience in joint holding with her husband, and husband had already made the appropriate disclosures in Schedule FA. What did the tribunal note? The tribunal noted that levy of penalty under Black Money Act was discretionary, and considering that it was a joint investment and the husband had disclosed it in his return, no penalty was leviable. ट्राइब्यूनल ने अभी जो क्वेरी भी पूछी थी सर ने पीछे, ट्राइब्यूनल ने अपहेल्ड कर दिया कि जॉइंट इन्वेस्टमेंट के केस में अगर एसएससी प्राइमरी होल्डर नहीं है और प्राइमरी होल्डर ने डिस्क्लोजर किया है, देन स्ट्रिक्ट प्रोविजंस शुड नॉट अप्लाई. यू हैव टू बी लिटिल लिबरल. तो पेनल्टी प्रोविजंस फॉर सेक्शन 43 शैल नॉट बी इन्वोक्ड. रेवेन्यू चैलेंज द जजमेंट ऑफ द ट्रिब्यूनल बिफोर द ऑनरेबल हाई कोर्ट. व्हाट वर द कंक्लूजंस ऑफ द कोर्ट? The High Court agreed with the view of the tribunal and held that the levy of penalty is at discretion of authorities after taking into consideration the circumstances that this was a case of joint investment by husband and wife. The husband had clearly disclosed investment and return of income. No penalty came to be levied. And the High Court also made a passing reference stating that this is not a case of any perversity in the exercise of discretion. Accordingly, on ground that this appeal involves no substantial question of law, this appeal is dismissed. The High Court simply stated कि इससे कोई prejudice नहीं cause हो रहा है रेवेन्यू को. डिस्क्लोजर एक रिटर्न में हो चुका है ऑटोमेटिकली, तो आप दोबारा पेनल्टी के प्रोविजंस अट्रैक्ट नहीं कर सकते. What is an important observation here? On the basis of the judicial precedent of High Court of Bombay, it can reasonably be concluded that in cases where any foreign assets are held in multiple names, the primary holder bears the responsibility of disclosing such assets. Where additional names are included merely for administrative convenience or for facilitation purposes, all such joint holders are not required to separately disclose in Schedule FA. सर अब ऐसे होता है कि अभी जो एट प्रेजेंट जो लॉ है उसके अकॉर्डिंगली the scenario is this only in respect of joint investments. However, it is always advisable to make necessary disclosures. अगर आप joint holder है भी हैं तो आप client को जरूर advise करिए कि report कर दे वो. In case if it is not done, कभी होता है client पूछता नहीं है, बाद में अगर notices आ जाते हैं, proceedings initiate हो जाती है, then you can take reference of this judgment, High Court of Bombay, to save your client. Next, judgment from ITAT Mumbai, additional CIT versus Leela Gandhi Tiwari. It is the judgment of 2022. Whether non-disclosure of foreign account on account of bona fide mistake is a valid reason to not impose penalty. So इस केस में अब हम पढ़ेंगे कि bona fide mistake को कैसे interpret किया गया है. What is a bona fide mistake? The facts of the case are: the assessee was one of the signatories to a foreign bank account which she had not disclosed to the Indian tax authorities. by mistake the word undisclosed is written. So either it should be which he had not disclosed, or it should be which was undisclosed. There is a grammatical error. The next point states that this bank contained a balance of UK dollar 234,710, which was eventually donated much before the Indian tax authorities even came to know about it. जितना भी बैलेंस था अकाउंट में, assessee ने बोला I have already donated for charity. How did the authorities came to know about this account? A search action under section 132 was conducted in year 2017, pursuant to which the assessee, in compliance with provisions of the act, filed the return of income under section 153A, duly disclosing the details of foreign bank account. It was submitted before AO that non-disclosure of bank account for all these years till the search and seizure cannot be said to be bona fide. So simply explain करूं, जब ओरिजिनल रिटर्न ऑफ इनकम फाइल की असेसी ने कुछ भी डिस्क्लोजर नहीं किया. However, once the search was initiated, then there is a requirement under the Income Tax Act to revise your return. It is the same in reassessment provisions also. Once your notice under section 148 is issued, then time is given for 30 days to revise the return. Similarly, same provisions in the erstwhile 153A and 153C, today they don't exist. The whole सेक्शंस हैव चेंज, बट जो अर्स्टवाइल सर्च के सेक्शंस थे तो उसमें भी सेम रिक्वायरमेंट थी कि आपको अगर नोटिस आता था आप रिटर्न रिवाइज कर सकते हो अपनी. उस रिवाइज्ड रिटर्न में एसएससी ने डिस्क्लोज कर दिया और बोला कि इट इज अ बोनाफाइड मिस्टेक एंड पेनल्टी शुड नॉट बी इन्वोक्ड. However, the AO did not agree to the explanation of the SSE. What were the observations of the tribunal? This is very important. First, the tribunal noted that the SSE was subject to search and seizure, and assessee had to file return of income under section 153A, जिसमें AY 1718 was also covered. Then they refer to the judgment of jurisdictional high court in case of Principal CIT versus JSW Steel Limited, wherein the lordships noted that section 153A provides that where a person is subjected to search under section 132, the AO is mandated to issue notice in respect of each assessment year falling within 6 assessment years immediately preceding the assessment year relevant to the previous year in which search is conducted or requisition is made. This is very important. Such returns of income shall be treated to be return of income furnished under section 139. So it is a settled position of law that once a return under section 153A is furnished, it replaces the original return under section 139. Continuing from here, the use of non-obstant clause in section 153 uses the expression notwithstanding is indicative of legislative intent that provisions of section 153A have overriding effect over provisions in section 139, 147, etc., etc. So 153A overrides 139. Further, it is an admitted position that in the ITR filed by assessee under section 153A, that the disclosure about the foreign bank account was duly made as noted by the AO in the impugned order itself, and this ITR alone has been acted upon. Viewed thus, when it comes to examining any failure on part of assessee in not disclosing foreign bank account, the assessment year before us, it can indeed be said that what is to be seen is the ITR under section 153A. In view of the above position, the non-disclosure of foreign bank account in original return may not be viewed as reason enough for imposition of penalty under section 43, because that original return stands substituted by the subsequent ITR filed under section 153A. So before I discuss this, just to again make sure that this is also one of the recent landmark judgment जिसमें 153A का इंटरप्ले 139 के साथ डिस्कस किया गया, एंड इट वाज हेल्ड कि अगर आप रिटर्न फाइल करते हो अंडर सेक्शन 153A, इट सब्स्टिट्यूट्स योर ओरिजिनल रिटर्न एज पर द कॉन्सेप्ट. हम इनकम टैक्स में ये चीज बहुत सेटल्ड है, हम उसको पढ़ते हैं. देन पेनल्टी कैन ऑल्सो नॉट बी लेविड. अगर आपने 153A के रिटर्न में डिस्क्लोजर कर दिया तो भी एओ पेनल्टी नहीं लगा सकता आपको. Then these are some of the passing references which were observed by the members while they were writing the judgment. Again, the first is with respect to the use of word may, discretionary nature of penalty. Section 43 provides that AO may impose the penalty, may signifies that the penalty is not to be imposed in all cases of lapses, and that there is no cause and effect relationship simpliciter because of the lapse and the penalty. A very technical term, cause and effect relationship simpliciter to the lapse and penalty. A simple meaning to this could be कोई गलती होगी इसका ये मतलब नहीं है पेनल्टी लगा दो. It is the penalty provisions are not simpliciter to any mistake. If there is a bona fide error or technically या legally हम prove कर सकते हैं that appropriate disclosure has already been done, penalty should not be invoked. Then essentially the overall conduct of assessee and materiality of the lapse as also being in nature of technical or venial breach of law is the most crucial factor so far as taking a call on question of whether or not a penalty should be imposed for assessee's failure to discharge a statutory obligation. Then the imposition of penalty is a judicious exercise and it should meet the well settled test of judicious conduct by even quasi judicial authorities, that is with respect to the AO and the lower authorities also. Further, the tribunal, while giving or passing the judgment in favor of the assessee, also noted that the entire amount was donated to a charity. जिस दिन AO को पता लग रहा है इस सब चीजों के बारे में, the assessee is no more the owner of the money. Assessee has not even used that money. Assessee has donated it for charity. So this is one of additional factors that the tribunal relied upon, and in view of the same, the appeal of the revenue was dismissed. Important observation with respect to interpretation of bona fide mistake, the scheme of penalties of such that essentially does not cover the cases in which lapses have occurred on account of good and sufficient reasons. A lapse per se cannot be reason enough to punish anyone. अभी तक हमने 2-3 जजमेंट्स डिस्कस किए हैं. In recent judgment only we have seen that if there is a bona fide error, so if you are able to substantiate that there is a mistake which is not intentional, you have good and sufficient reasons, then per se the AO cannot punish. The provisions are not such that AO has to punish each and everyone. Just a minute, I'm just having a glass of water, then we can move forward. Okay. So next is the judgment of ITAT Chennai, Palni Ranjan, Raja Ranjan versus additional CIT. It is also February 2025. I would say a recent judgment only with respect to Black Money Act. Whether where assessee has inadvertently not disclosed foreign asset in original ITR, but source of investment was explained and there was no foreign undisclosed asset which would require substantive addition under Black Money Act, since there was inadvertent mistake on part of assessee for not disclosing such asset, whether such claim is to be accepted. So what prima facie we can see is कि source of investment जो assessee का था वो explained था. There must not be any undisclosed asset or income, but disclosure नहीं किया होगा. Then how ITAT has interpreted this scenario? The facts of the case were: the assessee had investments in foreign entities, 2 immobile properties, and a foreign bank account. They were not reflected in ITR. The assessee was non-resident from AY 11-12 to 13-14. Thereafter, the assessee became resident. From AY 16-17, BMA was introduced, where there was a requirement to disclose the details of foreign assets. This requirement was newly introduced, and for the first time, with effect from AY 16-17, undisputedly, this information was not furnished by the assessee in ITR filed on 30th of November 2016. That is for AY 16-17. However, the assessee during the course of appellate proceedings explained the sources of these investments with supporting documents. This was evident from the fact that the assessment was completed with nil addition confirming no undisclosed foreign income. However, the AO initiated penalty under section 43 since there was failure to furnish details of foreign assets. So the provisions for taxation and penalty are both different. जैसे इनकम टैक्स में भी होता है कि once your assessment order is passed आपकी penalty proceedings initiate होती हैं. So they both are different provisions. Black Money Act में भी same है. आपके जो टैक्स के प्रोविजन है 30% आपको टैक्स लगना है ऑन अनडिस्क्लोज फॉरेन इनकम और द वैल्यू ऑफ द एसेट, दैट इज अ सेपरेट प्रोविजन, ठीक है। उसमें अगर आप प्रूव कर पाते हो अपना सोर्स ऑफ इन्वेस्टमेंट या सोर्स ऑफ इनकम या ये ऑलरेडी डिस्क्लोज्ड है, तो आपको टैक्स नहीं वो कर सकते हैं, ठीक है। तो थर्ड पॉइंट में वही हम डिस्कस कर रहे हैं, दैट दिस वाज एविडेंट दैट असेसमेंट वाज कंप्लीटेड विद नील एडिशन। असेसमेंट सेक्शन 10 ऑफ ब्लैक मनी में होती है। सो इफ नील एडिशन इज मेड अंडर सेक्शन 10, यू कैन नॉट बी चार्ज टू टैक्स। हाउएवर, पेनल्टी प्रोविजंस आर इन्वोक्ड merely because of non disclosures। पेनल्टी के प्रोविजन सेपरेट है। अगर आपकी असेसमेंट नील पर भी हुई है तो भी पेनल्टी आपको AO can initiate penalty proceedings। What were the observations of the court? The assessee duly explained the sources of all specified foreign assets and there was no foreign undisclosed asset which would require substantive addition or black money. Under these circumstances, the claim that there was an inadvertent mistake on part of the assessee was to be accepted. In our opinion, the imposition of penalty is not mandatory since the provision of section 43 uses the expression AO may direct that such person by way of penalty a sum of 10 lakh as against expression shall, which would show that the element of discretion was embedded in statutory provision itself and issue of levy of penalty was to be examined with reference to specific facts of the case. In the aforesaid case, the penalty was deleted. But I have an important observation. इसमें ITAT has taken a very liberal view. If your source is explained, that no penalty should be levied, I don't think so this judgment will survive for long. Why this judgment? One of the reason is this judgment only applies to the year when black money was introduced for the first time. एक होता है ना कि this act is a new act, so you take a plea before court, I was not aware about the taxation provisions, this is a new act, professionals were also not aware. So court has taken a liberal view with respect to that effect also कि these provisions were new. So even if there was a failure, but since there is no undisclosed asset or income, penalty was not imposed. आज के डेट पे मैं ये आर्गुमेंट नहीं ले सकता हूँ कि अगर मेरा अनडिस्क्लोज एसेट है तो मैंने कुछ भी अगर मैंने शेड्यूल एफए में डिस्क्लोजर नहीं भी किया तो पेनल्टी मत लगाओ। देर अभी सब्सिक्वेंटली आई विल डिस्कस द जजमेंट्स which will negate this judgment. ये judgment only survives just because of the fact that this was the first year of imposition of Black Money Act. This is the judgment of Hyderabad Tribunal. It is a recent judgment. In the aforesaid judgment, the Honorable ITAT Hyderabad also held that where investments were duly disclosed by the assessee in preceding as well as subsequent years, and the assessee was able to satisfactorily explain the source of investment, the assessment under Black Money Act resulted in a nil tax liability. The tribunal held that such non-disclosure constituted a bona fide and inadvertent mistake, which was curable in nature, and accordingly no penalty was leviable under section 43. In this case also, so the only failure to not disclose your foreign, make appropriate disclosure in Schedule FA was with respect to 1 year. In the preceding as well as subsequent years, proper disclosure had been made. So you can take a plea that this is a bona fide mistake. मैंने एक साल में नहीं किया, but मैं already disclose कर रहा हूँ department को सब कुछ. So ITAT Hyderabad said that okay, nothing doing, section 43 will not invoke and penalty is not leviable. Next is the judgment from ITAT Mumbai, Ocean Diving Center versus CIT appeal. The question of law before the tribunal was whether the assessee will be liable for penalty when the assessee has admittedly recorded and disclosed investment in foreign entity in its audited balance sheet and also furnished such information under non-current investment in Schedule Para A of balance sheet in its return of income. However, failed to disclose the scheme in Schedule FA. जितने भी चार्टर्ड अकाउंटेंट्स होंगे वेबिनार में, दे विल बी एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड दिस वेरी क्लियरली कि बैलेंस शीट फाइल करते हुए हमने प्रॉपर डिस्क्लोजर किया हुआ है, लेकिन रिटर्न के टाइम पे शेड्यूल एफए नहीं भरा सिर्फ। तो आई हैव मेड कंप्लायंस, eventually I have made compliance in one form or the other. I have not made compliance on the face of it by disclosing in Schedule FA. However, if we only talk about making compliance, we have already done it in the balance sheet. Facts of the case were the assessee declared its total income as nil by filing return of income. Subsequently, during the course of investigation, in case of director of assessee company, it was found that the assessee had made investment in foreign entities but not reflected the said investment in Schedule FA. बैलेंस शीट में इन्वेस्टमेंट हुआ है बट आपने Schedule FA नहीं भरा. The assessee claimed that though it had not disclosed the information qua foreign investment in Schedule FA, but duly disclosed the same in balance sheet. The AO, being not impressed by the claim of the assessee, rejected the same and ultimately levied the penalty under section 43. AO ने आपको 10 लाख की पेनल्टी का ऑर्डर पास कर दिया. CIT also affirmed the imposition of penalty. What were the observations of the court? In the instant case, the assessee admittedly recorded and disclosed the investment in foreign entity in balance sheet. Hence, we are in concurrence with the claim of the assessee that the assessee has directly or indirectly complied with the statutory provisions, and therefore the case of assessee does not fall under the rigorous provisions of section 43. It is not the case of total defiance or malafide or dishonest breach, non-disclosure of information of foreign investment. Therefore, all our aforesaid analyzations and considerations, in our view, the penalty is not warranted, hence the same is deleted. So a very important observation which I think will help in practical scenarios also. If disclosure has been made in balance sheet in investments that I am holding any foreign investment, I am holding any foreign bank account, etc. etc. तो अगर Schedule F रह भी गया तो it is not a case where there is a malified intent. Next is a very interesting judgment, ITAT Mumbai, Shobha Harish Thavni versus JCIT. The question of law was whether levy of penalty under section 43 was justified in case where the assessee does not disclose foreign assets in ITR Schedule FA. A simple question of law. What were the facts of the case? The assessee had made some investments in assets from her Indian bank account in FY 14-18 through LRS under FEMA. So जो investment की है that is from through disclosed sources. The said was a general investment along with her husband where the assessee held 40% of the share. However, the assessee did not disclose the asset, bank accounts or investment in Schedule FA for the ITR file for assessment year from AY 16-17 to 18-19. 3 साल के लिए continuous compliance नहीं किया assessee ने. Assessee, what was the plea of the assessee? The assessee stated that it was an inadvertent error on the part of the assessee to not have disclosed the foreign asset in Schedule FA. Further, the assessee stated that it had made investment out of funds transferred from India to HSBC Bank and prayed that penalty proceedings may be dropped as the error committed was not intentional since it was not an undisclosed asset and source of money is proved. तो बहुत बेसिक प्ली लिया जो हमने पहले भी देखा है कि अगर सोर्स प्रूव्ड है तो मेरा अनडिस्क्लोज एसेट नहीं है, पेनल्टी मत इन्वोक करो. What were the observations of tribunal? The argument that penalty can be levied only with respect to undisclosed asset is not tenable since penalty is levied for non-disclosure in ITR. So now they have created a difference that even if your source is proved, penalty is not for establishing the source. It is just for non-disclosure in ITR. They both are two different things and assessee cannot equate both footings. The alternate plea of the assessee that the non-disclosure in the return is inadvertent bona fide error was also not accepted. Even if it is assumed that light of expression may, the assessee has to substantiate that AO has exercised his discretion. Assessee was not able to even prove that why penalty should not be levied. There was no assessee had not disclosed it in subsequent return or in the previous return. There was no bona fide plea that the assessee could take. No material is brought before us to show that AO levied penalty in an arbitrary and unjustified manner. The contention that the assets are not undisclosed assets may be factually true, but penalty is for non-reporting of overseas investment and for making investments from unaccounted sources. So what was the final decision? The provisions for section 43 does not provide any room not to levy penalty even if foreign asset is disclosed, since the penalty is levied only towards non-disclosure of foreign assets in Schedule FA. ITAT in this case has held that even if your sources are proved, even if your sources are disclosed, that is a separate thing. You have to prove your bona fide. By merely stating that my foreign investment is from disclosed sources cannot be a reason to drop the penalty proceedings. Now, this judgment is contrary to the judgment of Ocean Diving Center which we discussed earlier. मैंने उसमें तभी एक डिफरेंशिएशन क्रिएट किया था. दोनों आईटीआईटी बॉम्बे की जजमेंट्स हैं. नाउ वन ऑफ अनदर एस्पेक्ट इज कि ये जजमेंट, दिस जजमेंट इज आफ्टर दैट जजमेंट, दोनों में रेफरेंस नहीं है एक दूसरे का. ओशियन डाइविंग सेंटर में उन्होंने क्यों एक अलाउ कर दिया होगा? बिकॉज इट वॉज द फर्स्ट ईयर ऑफ इनिशिएशन ऑफ इम्पोजिशन ऑफ ब्लैक मनी. So during the initial year, there are instances when the law is not properly interpreted. There are issues with respect to filing also. The relief was granted. उस केस में भी एसएससी ने कुछ डिस्क्लोजर नहीं किया था, but relief was granted since it was the first year. Now when we come to this judgment, the point is same, that my source is disclosed, penalty may be dropped, but the tribunal is not accepted because there was a failure for continuous 3 years. In those cases, they have not given relief. In light of these discussions, we see no infirmity in the order of CIT appeal confirming the levy of penalty of black money for non-disclosure of foreign assets. Accordingly, appeals of the SSC for all assessment years AY 16-17, 17-18, 18-19 are dismissed. One important fact that I would like to bring to all of your attention is that penalty of rupees 10 lakh is each year. It is not a cumulative penalty. It is a very basic thing and I'm sure everyone would know about it. However, the penalty is levied for failure to disclose in the ITR. आपकी हर साल की ITR different होती है, ठीक है? तो जितने साल में आपने disclose नहीं किया, 10 lakhs can be charged for non-disclosure in each of those years. But an important factor, there are judgments जो हमने discuss किए हैं कि अगर आपने एक साल में disclose कर दिया, then at least you can take a plea that there is a bona fide error. See, in 1 year I have made a disclosure. Please give me relief for the preceding years. What is an important observation? The plea of bona fide error or inadvertent mistake must be proved by the SSC. Relief has generally been granted only where disclosure existed in preceding or subsequent years. In the absence of a disclosure, such a plea is weak. Given divergent judicial views, a conservative and safe approach is timely disclosure. Then we come to the judgment of ITAT Jaipur. ITAT Jaipur ने तो बहुत ही ज़्यादा liberal view ले लिया. Similar lines के ऊपर ITAT Jaipur has held that where assessee received income from US Social Security in the nature of pension and has duly disclosed details of such income, including the factum of payment of taxes to concerned authorities in US, mere failure to disclose the said income specifically in Schedule FA would not justify imposition of penalty. The tribunal observed that although the assessee had not reported in Schedule FA, the amount was duly disclosed in the head of exempt income, therefore demonstrating full and true disclosure. In such circumstances, lapse was held to be procedural and inadvertent omission not warranting penal consequences. So in one way we can state that जैसे अभी हमने जजमेंट पढ़ा था जिसमें दे हैड मेड डिस्क्लोजर इन बैलेंस शीट, तो बैलेंस शीट में डिस्क्लोज कर दिया था, तो आईटीएटी हेल्ड दैट ठीक है, आईटीआर में नहीं भी किया तो लेट्स नॉट गो so much stringent to section 43. In this case also, जो टैक्स वगैरह यूएस में डिडक्टेड था, पेड था, उन्होंने अपनी इनकम में शो कर दिया उसको, बट शेड्यूल एफए में नहीं किया. तो दैट केस आल्सो द आईटीएटी हैज हेल्ड दैट सेक्शन 43 शुड नॉट बी इन्वोक्ड. जो एक चीज हम ऑब्जर्व कर सकते हैं, कहीं ना कहीं तो आपको डिस्क्लोजर अगर आपने किया हुआ है तो यू कैन टेक द प्ली कि बोनाफाइड एरर है. अगर आपने बिल्कुल ही कुछ डिस्क्लोजर नहीं किया, रिटर्न में कुछ भी नहीं दिखाया हुआ, then merely stating that my source is proved is not going to come to your help. Next is an important concept. I had also dealt it with in section 3 or section 4. We will refer to this again. Once counted, twice taxed. Black money versus income tax. Can one income be taxed twice, that is both under the black money or the income tax? The answer to this is no. There is a judgment of Honorable Delhi ITAT, DCIT versus Ashok Kumar Singh. I have extracted the relevant para. Without going into the merits of the case, once additions have been made under the Black Money Act, the same addition cannot be made under the Income Tax Act on the same set of facts. Therefore, the deletion of addition by CIT does not call for any interference. Hence, both the appeals of the revenue were dismissed. In section 4, subsection 3 also, they have mentioned about the interplay of black money and income tax. Since when one income is taxed under the Black Money Act, you cannot again charge income tax on the same. This is very common. I have dealt with the cases where once the black money proceedings are initiated, the addition is made. Appeal is pending before tribunal. Income tax authorities also come with notices that your this income is not has not been taxed. You can take a plea before the lower authorities that look, you have already initiated black money proceedings. You cannot again initiate income tax proceeding. Nothing doing. Drop my proceedings. In case the income tax authority does not agree to it, there is a to which there is a large possibility, you can also invoke writ jurisdiction in that case and approach High Court. Because this is not allowed, section also states it. With this, I would like to end my presentation. Thank you so much everyone for your patient hearing, and I hope I have given some good inputs and discussed many cases which would help you in dealing with the notices which might come in this coming up year, and while dealing with the practical compliances of ITR filings. Now I think we can take up queries. We have 5 to 10 minutes still in the session. Anybody has any query with respect to the case law that we have discussed or any other query, we can take up the same. Please.
Yeah, hello. Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Please repeat something regarding students studying abroad for whom the amount has been sent here by the parents.
Okay.
And they have to open account there, and some $1,000, $2,000 or pounds are there. So
Okay.
please repeat this. Students having accounts there, the money is remitted by the parents out of the taxable, tax-paid income.
Sir, what is the status of student? Student is a resident or non-resident?
Of course, now non-resident. Because as per income tax, non-resident, 182 days or wo wala. But for FEMA, you have circular 45 where your intention is not to settle there, so you can be non-resident in FEMA, but for tax purposes, resident.
Okay. Sir, I'm not aware about the provision of FEMA, but what I understand from your conversation is कि student non-resident है आज की डेट में, ठीक है?
Yes,
और जो बैंक अकाउंट था वो स्टूडेंट के नेम पे ही था,
of course.
ठीक है? तो उस केस में सर आप जो ओनर हुआ दैट इज द स्टूडेंट, और जो
Yeah.
इनकम पेरेंट्स भेज भी रहे हैं वो अपने टैक्स इनकम से भेज रहे हैं, और
Of
स्टूडेंट जब
course.
आईटीआर फाइल करेगा शेड्यूल एफए का कोई रिक्वायरमेंट उसको नहीं होगा बिकॉज वो नॉन रेजिडेंट है, तो वो सेक्शन जो चार्जिंग सेक्शन है वो इन्वोक नहीं होगा वहां पे.
Okay. But since student has income here in India, he files return every year. So,
एज अ
but
नॉन रेजिडेंट ही करता होगा ना सर वो.
yeah, of
तो वो
course.
नॉन रेजिडेंट के ऊपर ये चार्जिंग सेक्शन अप्लाई नहीं करता, उसको रिक्वायरमेंट नहीं है. अब सपोज
Oh.
करो वो पढ़ने के बाद आज से 2 साल बाद अपना कोर्स कंप्लीट करके इंडिया में आ जाता है और रेजिडेंट बन जाता है और बैंक अकाउंट क्लोज नहीं करवाता वो वाला, जब वो
वो
इंडिया
क्लोज
आ
कराना
जाएगा.
चाहिए.
हाँ जी,
As per your advice, it should be closed.
इट शुड बी क्लोज बिफोर कमिंग बिकॉज देन यू हैव टू मेक अ डिस्क्लोजर वंस यू आर रेजिडेंट.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
थैंक यू सर.
एंड सर एक क्वेश्चन है सर. तो ये अगर रेजिडेंट की रिटर्न फाइल कर रहे हैं, रेजिडेंट है, उसका एनआरई अकाउंट भी है अभी, तो वो उसको सेक्शन इसमें फॉरेन एसेट के शेड्यूल में दिखाना है या नॉर्मल जो बैंक अकाउंट्स के हम इंफॉर्मेशन देते हैं एट द एंड ऑफ द रिटर्न उसमें दिखाना है एनआरई अकाउंट?
उसको तो नॉर्मल में दिखा सकते हैं, उसके लिए
एनआरई अकाउंट तो सर फॉरेन अकाउंट के स्टेटस में नहीं आता है.
एनआरई अकाउंट अगर हम दिखाएं, आई विल चेक दिस आल्सो सर, आई विल गेट बैक टू यू. आप वी कैन कनेक्ट फॉर दिस. आई विल चेक ऑन द स्टेटस ऑफ एनआरई अकाउंट आल्सो.
जी
सर, एक आपने जो केस लॉज बताए हैं उसमें से हैज एनी मैटर बीन सेटल्ड विद द सुप्रीम कोर्ट आल्सो?
नो सर, एज ऑन डेट सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने सेटल नहीं किया. देयर आर मैटर्स व्हिच आर चैलेंज बिफोर सुप्रीम कोर्ट, जैसे वो हाई कोर्ट ऑफ बॉम्बे वाला सुप्रीम कोर्ट में पेंडिंग है, बट कोई जुडिशियल प्रेसिडेंट सेटल नहीं हुआ है अभी 43 सेक्शन की टर्म्स में। ब्लैक मनी के वैसे केसेस हैं विच हैव ट्रेवल टू सुप्रीम कोर्ट एंड बीइंग सेटल्ड। 43 पेनल्टी के जो भी हमने डिस्कस किए हैं, इसमें से कुछ भी सुप्रीम कोर्ट से सेटल नहीं है अभी।
सर
ओके
Yes,
काफी डाइवर्स जजमेंट है ना, ये सारी चीजों पे बड़ी डाइवर्स जजमेंट्स है, मतलब इसमें एक्चुअली अभी सेटल्ड लॉ नहीं है।
करेक्ट। बट एक चीज है सर कि लिबरल, जनरली वी हैव सीन आईटीटीज हैव टेकन अ लिबरल व्यू, और हाई कोर्ट ने अप्रूव किया उस लिबरल व्यू को। सो वी मस्ट मेक श्योर दैट डिस्क्लोजर किसी मैनर में तो हुआ है। अगर आपके पिछले 4 साल में नहीं हो रहा तो एटलीस्ट इस साल में हो जाए, ताकि आप बोल सके कि मेरा बोनाफाइड व्यू, बोनाफाइड मिस्टेक है, ठीक है, और जजमेंट्स हैं इस चीज को सपोर्ट करने के लिए। सो आई थिंक दैट शुड सफाइस। पेनल्टी प्रोसीडिंग्स आर नॉट स्ट्रिंजेंट अंडर ब्लैक मनी।
और इसमें जैसे आपने सर बताया कि जो ब्लैक मनी एक्ट में रहेगा तो इट विल नॉट बी टेकन अप अंडर द इनकम टैक्स एक्ट, लेकिन इस तरह का नॉन डिस्क्लोजर में क्या कैन देयर बी एन इंटरप्ले विद पीएमएलए आल्सो?
देयर कैन बी,
मतलब कैन इट बी?
देयर कैन बी, क्योंकि ब्लैक मनी और इनकम टैक्स को इंटरप्ले से जब हम देखते हैं, सो दीज आर लाइक वन ऑफ द टू एक्ट्स विच आर वेरी मच लिंक्ड टू ईच अदर। बट जब हम पीएमएलए में चले जाते हैं, वहां के प्रोविजंस और स्ट्रिंजेंट है। सो ब्लैक मनी इज इनिशिएटेड, पीएमएलए में कोई ऐसा प्रोविजन नहीं है टू स्टेट कि पीएमएलए कैन नॉट बी इन्वोक्ड। ऐसा कुछ प्रोविजन गवर्नमेंट ने नहीं डाला। देयर इज नो सर्कुलर और नो नोटिफिकेशन इवन टू दैट इफेक्ट। सो वी कैन
ऐसा
नॉट
कोई
टेक।
डू वी हैव अ जुडिशियल प्रेसिडेंट या ऐसा कोई मैटर आपकी नॉलेज में रहा हो जहां
नहीं
पे
सर,
इस तरह का
कोई भी
इनकम
जुडिशियल
टैक्स
प्रेसिडेंट नहीं है।
बट ईडी के पास ऐसा कोई पॉइंट है, मतलब किसी तरह का ईडी ने भी उठा लिया हो ऐसी प्रोसीडिंग्स में जहां पे ब्लैक
नहीं
मनी
सर,
एक्ट की प्रोविजंस चल
नहीं सर, अभी ऐसा कोई प्रेसिडेंट नहीं आया। कोई मैटर हैज नॉट ट्रेवल टू पीएमएलए ट्राइब्यूनल आल्सो जहां पे ऐसा चल रहा हो। सो आई डोंट थिंक सो वी आर हैव अ पॉजिटिव आंसर टू दिस इफेक्ट।
रही? एंड वो एक क्वेरी
सर
थी, आपने क्या था कि
सॉरी
वी कैन डिस्कस इट आफ्टर कॉल, वो फिर बाद में कभी ले सकते हैं या मतलब कैन वी डिस्कस
आज
दैट
सर
आल्सो?
वी कैन कनेक्ट। आप एक बार क्वेरी अपनी मैसेज भी कर देना, बिकॉज आई विल आल्सो डू माय रिसर्च ऑन दैट, देन वी कैन डिस्कस
So it was only related to what is being exempted. Does the legislature only want to exempt if it is clearly a bank account? Real estate is okay. Real estate
I would like to add that this amendment came in 2024 only, sir. Earlier it was
Correct, sir.
bank account, but now it is any asset other than
Immovable property.
immovable property. Yes. Earlier it was bank account only, sir.
Correct,
Amendment
correct,
came in 24 only, sir.
correct, sir, correct.
So that means financial interest so फिर can also be exempted.
That is covered, sir, now in 20 lakh.
So,
ठीक है.
so
Right,
as
sir.
you were discussing, sir, the interpretation should be this only. It is covered in the limit of 20 lakhs. Even if it is not a bank account, the other asset should also be covered. So,
sir sir
yes, sir.
one of our friend was asking about NRE account. So
NRE account. I will
yeah.
check with that, sir. I will check.
Yeah,
it,
no,
check with that.
allow me to speak.
Yes, sir, yes.
I think NRE interest on NRE account is exempt. So he can always show as exempt income from NRE account. So it's a indirect disclosure.
Correct, correct. With respect to exempt income, we have a case law also that we have
Yeah.
just discussed.
So let him show interest income from NRE. So exempt and it is disclosed also. Is
Agreed,
it
sir. Agreed.
possible?
This will help. This will help.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. Keshav, I think you
तो
can
सर
take over now.
इसमें ये नहीं हुआ कि जैसे फॉर एग्जांपल इफ देयर इज एन एनआरई अकाउंट, तो बट एनआरई अकाउंट्स जैसे एनआरओ अकाउंट है, एनआरई अकाउंट, तो एनआरई अकाउंट तो होगा ही नॉन रेजिडेंट के पास ना, तो ही डज नॉट नीड टू डिस्क्लोज एफए. रेजिडेंट पर्सन कैन नॉट होल्ड एन एनआरई अकाउंट.
Correct, sir. Correct. This is
इज ओनली
तो
फॉर
सर
नॉन
क्या होता है,
रेजिडेंट्स.
कभी लोग यहाँ इंडिया में आ जाते हैं, एनआरई अकाउंट क्लोज नहीं करते, बैंक को
हाँ,
डिस्क्लोज
वो
नहीं
अगर है
करते
तो
कि
मतलब
मैं रेजिडेंट बन गया,
या
वहां प्रॉब्लम आती है.
हाँ, तो हाँ वो हो सकता है कि रेजिडेंशियल स्टेटस चेंज हो गया एंड
उनका
दे आर स्टिल
क्वेश्चन वही
होल्डिंग
कर
एनआर,
सकते हैं। हाँ
बट टेक्निकली इट्स अ डिफॉल्ट।
हाँ, इट्स अ
उसमें
मतलब
एग्जेम्पटेशन तो ले नहीं सकते
obviously
ना being a
if somebody become a
resident।
resident, he should immediately inform bank also.
So,
Yeah.
but you have some period to you can hold those assets, no problem.
Only
Even
till
if you
2
come
years,
back
sir,
and
when you are
some
NROR.
period is given,
Only
you
2
can
years.
continue as per some.
वो शायद
There is
वो
some
शायद चला था
provision.
2 साल है मेरे ख्याल।
जो भी है ना।
हाँ हाँ, वो एनआरओआर है ना, एनआरओआर में भी आपको डिस्क्लोज नहीं करना ना जी। नॉट ऑर्डिनरी
एनआरओ
रेजिडेंट
की
में भी
तो
आपको
इनकम
डिस्क्लोज नहीं
टैक्सेबल है
करना।
ये।
एफए
एनआरओ की
शेड्यूल
इनकम तो सर टैक्सेबल होती है।
नहीं, एनआरओ को नहीं, हम डिस्क्लोजर की बात कर रहे हैं। तो फॉरेन एसेट की डिस्क्लोजर की रिक्वायरमेंट
वो तो
नॉन
इनडायरेक्ट तरीका बताया
नॉट
कि भाई
ऑर्डिनरी रेजिडेंट
एनआरई
में
का
भी।
एग्जाम बता दो आप। वो इतनी नॉलेज है तो डिस्क्लोज ही कर दो, प्रॉब्लम क्या है? हाँ, जब इतना पता है तो डिस्क्लोज ही कर दो। थैंक यू वेरी मच अमरवीर, थैंक यू।
Thank you so much, sir.
थैंक
It
यू
was
अमर जी।
really nice to interact with everyone.
थैंक यू वेरी मच।
थैंक यू अमरवीर जी, थैंक यू।
Keshav, you want to say something?
Thank you, sir, for such a wonderful session, and I think we should leave now.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you. I will share the PPT with Keshav. Keshav, you can circulate. Judgments will help people.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, that also. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.